My name is Bob Cook. I was born here in Toronto, January 1953. I'm Director of Audio Production here at City TV, and I also teach people how to do voiceovers. Perfect happiness is to be in a room filled with women and I'm making them laugh, is my idea of perfect happiness. Because I've discovered that women are the higher species, and perfect happiness is a bunch of laughing women. My greatest fear is to be physically incapacitated, because movement is my greatest pleasure. The dead person I most admire is Winston Churchill. Not only was he a great writer, but he was a great orator, and he motivated the English language in the Second World War to fight evil. And because of his speeches and because of what he said, the whole world was able to unite to beat the Hun, as he often called them. Impatience. It's the characteristic that bothers me the most about myself. I want things done quickly and efficiently, and it's brutal how hard I am on myself because of the fact of my impatience. And I drive other people around me nuts because of it. People who are late, it drives me nuts because they're not focused. It means they have no consideration for other people, and the fact that life is going to pass these people by and they're going to be late for it. Work. I'm spending all kinds of hours at work. I'm trying to do a lot of different things, and it has its repercussions. I'm away from home an awful lot, but there's so many things to do, so I'm excessive here at work. I'd love to be able to write music. That is the one talent I would love to be able to have. Discovered very early that I couldn't, but that is the one that I would love to be able to do. It's such a wonderful way to express yourself. Mexico, right on the ocean, with a grand view of the Pacific, so I can look at the sunset every night. When money's involved, and it doesn't have to necessarily be my money, but other people's money. Lying about money, I have found over the years, is a good thing. You lie about how much you make, you lie about how much you've spent, you lie about what things cost, you lie about your taxes, and I find that most people are okay with it to a certain degree, because I find that it's something that most people do to a certain extent. To be very, very sick, and to be very, very alone. Not to have someone to help you through a great illness or a devastating event that happened in your life. To me, that is the lowest it can get. A characteristic that people always mention to me is my hair. You've got a full head of hair at your age, which seems to be some kind of an accomplishment, even though you don't really do a lot about it, but I seem to hear an awful lot about that. My most treasured possession is my health. Simple. If I had another career, it would have been a piano player in a smoky bar in New Orleans. So many times I have been told in my 20-year marriage that I think the sound of your own voice, Bob, is what you love to hear the most, but actually, what it is, it's the sound of a sigh. Mozart, because he burned so bright for a very short period of time. He was debauched like I was as a young man, and he was a genius. Expressed himself with music, which is one of the gifts that I would love to be able to do. And the idea that he created a wealth of music that was, to this day, considered some of the greatest music that's ever been. And he'd be one heck of a rock star now, wouldn't he? He would put Steve Tyler to shame. One of the great ambitions I had was to be an explorer, to go to places that obviously I'd never been to before, which would eventually lead to places where most of the world hadn't been before. But what was interesting about being an explorer, you had to be a little bit more adventurous than I was, right? And even though the idea of being an explorer was absolutely fascinating. I was actually mesmerized by it. I used to read history books about it, geography books about it, about Magellan, Sir Francis Drake. I love these historical characters, right? But I ended up finding out that I just was not that adventurous. I dislike people who are in positions of power who don't know the difference between good and bad when it comes to assessing people's value. They don't know the difference. They don't know somebody who's good at a job or somebody who's bad at a job. I dislike that a lot. Drives me nuts. Because you know what I think? I think now we have excelled in mediocrity. Excellence now is just something that people don't get. If I could change the world, the one thing I would do is I would make sure that nobody ever had low self-esteem. Everybody believed in themselves and everybody had the power to change their world. That's what I'd do. And that would change the world. I wanted to express myself somehow, and it took me an awfully long time to find that out. And then one day, a friend of mine, I was working in a restaurant as a bartender, and he came up to me and he said, well, what are you doing for the rest of your life? And I said, well, I don't know, I thought I was doing it. And he said, no, I'm taking this radio course. You really should take it with me, right? So I said, yeah, sure. We had a few beers, and I thought he'd forget about it. 3 days later, he came knocking on my door, and he says, I'm going to take you out to the Humber College and introduce you to my professor, because I think this is what you should do. Sure enough, I went out there, signed up, bing, bang, boom. Hello. This is what I'm doing 25 years later. I love it. I really love it. Having a room full of people who care about you, are interested in you, and that you have helped them somewhere along the line achieve what they wanted to do in life. You can do, because only you can limit yourself in what you can do or what you can't do. So, you can do is what I live by right at this moment in time.